me.
Okay, I hit it. It'll happen whenever you also hit it.
I'm just waiting for the button. Okay, there we are. So
We're all just waiting for that button in this crazy life of ours.
Okay.
right.
It's going live. And now we are live.
Now we exist.
Brilliant. Well,
Finally.
hello everyone. I hope you can see us. Hello everybody from Jose's channel, from people who've seen F the Algorithm before. We are F the Algorithm. So to introduce everybody, we've got Hoots from the channel Hoots. We've got Kaylin Conrad from Kaylin Conrad. Up. And I've got ads going on my own phone. We've got Mika from the channel Ponderful. And then Neil from the Leftist Cooks. And I'm Sarah from the Leftist Cooks. And you should all know our lovely guest host, Jose, from the channel Jose. So, hi, everyone.
And thank you, Jose.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have you. The only one not here on camera is me, which I feel like everyone watching this channel should be familiar with, but hopefully all
you're a
your
little
lovely
jay.
faces will make up for it. Oh yeah, look at how
You're a
tiny
little
it
blue
is,
jay.
too.
You don't have a camera.
I don't know how you
can
got it
edit together a YouTube
started.
video, but a camera is beyond my capabilities. Right?
So we will be your stunt faces for today.
Right.
To do all of the facial expressions for you.
There you are. But if you haven't seen us before, we're at The Algorithm. We do have our own dedicated channel over on YouTube at F The Algorithm, but we're still kind of small. So we've been going around to other creators who have been nice enough to host with us. And the goal of our show is to get eyeballs on smaller creators who are not being favored by the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube makes some funny decisions about which videos they promote and which videos they don't. And if somebody does a really thoughtful, educational, well-researched, or interesting video, it really could get very few views. And that's a real shame. So there are some incredibly talented gems all over YouTube that you might never otherwise see. So what we like to do is watch a little bit of the videos, direct you to their channel to finish the videos, and hopefully give these really good creators little boosts. So that's our goal.
That's the mission.
That's the mission.
That's us.
Oh, and just someone mentioned, apparently we're going to have looking for links to these channels in the description. I'll be adding those at some point. Just they'll be there. Also, to make sure that someone's saying there's an echo, I guess. Like, I feel like that's a standard when it comes to streaming on YouTube. But if there's any issues, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll try to fix it as we go.
Yeah.
I don't.
Some people are saying it, some people are no, so I don't know.
Okay.
I'll mute when I'm not actively talking then.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, I don't know how many of these we've done now. 4, 5. Well, we have all of our previous picks in our F the Algorithm default channel. We've got playlists set up, and we have a playlist for today as well. So after the stream, if you're interested in any of these picks, Jose, you were saying you'll put it in the description, but we also have the playlist that we could just pop into chat or pop into the description, and people can go and find their new favorite creators and catch up. So
It'll all be in one easy to find place.
One easy to find place. All right.
So
I don't know. We can get started, but how are all the rest of you? How are you doing?
I am jet lagged. I am hungover. I'm feeling great.
Excellent.
I'm similarly jet lagged, but I'm not hungover. So, also, can we boost the volume a little? Now we're getting comments there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's standard YouTube thing. We start the stream.
I just pumped it up a little. We'll see how people feel about that.
How's that, chat?
Does that sound
All
good?
right, yeah, chat. Let us know how are we doing now. I'm seeing some familiar faces in there, like Sam the Anthro and Aronok
Aw.
and Rosenkreutz. Some previous people we featured are there.
Friends?
Hi, friends.
Well,
It does start to become a really lovely community when we're, people start to grow, and people that we featured in earlier streams are like a bit bigger now, and it's like, oh well, that was a nice bit of the journey there.
yeah. Cool to watch other people's numbers go up. I believe John Lewis, who we featured last stream, just hit 10,000 subscribers the other day.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool.
That was FD Signifier's pick.
That was, yes, our last stream was with FD Signifier, and that stream is up on our channel if you want to watch the previous recorded video. Not now though. Now you should watch us live, fumbling our words and being hungover.
It's the jet lag stream.
It's the jet lag. So, well, you and I haven't gone anywhere in ages.
We'll just pretend to be jet lagged.
Okay, we can pretend to be jet lagged.
It's the jet stream.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Well, in any case, our very first video is going to be presented by Mika from Ponderful. So, Mika, if you want to tell us about your pick.
I'd love to. Hello, everyone. Okay, so hi. Right, so this channel I'm very pleased to present is that he actually applied to be featured ages ago. I think he was one of the first people to apply. But we at F the Algorithm are incredibly unorganized. So a little bit. So no, but also if you've already applied to be featured, be patient because we might get round to you. But so yeah, this person runs a channel. He's called Paul. He's a freelance researcher. He's a writer. He's an environmental consultant. He's been an active participant of the anarchist activism scene since the 80s. He's been involved in collectivist food programs. He runs a website called the Free Range Activist website. So he's got decades of grassroots experience, right? His channel currently has over 120 videos. None of them are none of them are super long. It's an incredible collection of resources, really, I think.
Nice.
There's all kinds of things there, from like super charming vlog style videos about like anarchist praxis in his day-to-day. There's more typical sort of video essay discussions about politics and resistance and the climate change. There's recipes and food tips, and he does 5-minute book summaries. There's all kinds of things. It's like a treasure trove. So go crawling through after the stream. So yeah, this very wholesome, super charming. This video is about the politics of food. And how ensuring your community's access to food is a fundamental of resistance. I love it. We're going to watch 5 minutes. I do just want to quickly say that, as always, ought implies can, especially when it comes to things like food. So, if you can't bake your own bread, don't worry. This is about this is very much a from each according to their ability kind of thing. This is about community resistance and health, okay, and community ideals. So yeah, he's currently got just over 1,000 subscribers. I'd love to see that change dramatically soon. Thank you. Roll the tape.
Debates which occupy people's minds drifted towards more esoteric first world issues. This isn't a new problem. It was lamented by the anarchist Peter Kropotkin in his 1906 book, The Conquest of Bread. Whether the leaders belonged to the middle class or the working classes, it was always the middle class ideas which prevailed. They discussed various political questions at length, but forgot to discuss the question of bread. I love food. I like growing it, I like foraging for it, I like preparing it, I like preserving and storing it, and for all of that practical effort, I like feeding it to family and friends. For me, food is the basis of all other parts of our lifestyle. Food is a connection to our authentic biological nature as living creatures, sharing a world of a host of other creatures in a complex global ecology. Get that one thing right, and all the other parts of your chosen lifestyle are negotiable. It's taken a long time to create the materials in this mini-series. Truth be told, it's actually really annoying to have to interrupt the joyful process of food preparation by trying to film it, or worse, weighing the ingredients. Instead of rushing to publish this series, over 2022 I produced some cooking-free videos around the subject of the right to food, and how that intersects with the origins of the cost of living crisis, just to test people's reactions to these ideas. While positive, I felt the response to those videos was still ignorant of the innately political nature of food within our lives, and why the alternatives to that process are based within anarchist ideas, as they require us to collectivise and take control of the natural resources communities require to ensure their future sustainable supply of food. Though future episodes will focus on food preparation, in this part I'll talk about the big idea that a successful lifestyle must be based on access to sufficient, healthy food. Our food habits are an expression of our life. I've perceived the politics of the land and food all my life, from learning as a child to grow food on our family's allotment and why that was important for our family's well-being. That allotment doesn't exist now, it's an industrial estate. And if we have a crisis of food quality, food banks and poverty in Britain today, it's because the local support mechanisms which once enabled people to feed themselves have been dismantled by neoliberalism's 40-year project to asset strip the British state. Like those awakening Russians mentioned earlier, I could introduce this series with some hardcore but perhaps boring analysis of the politics of food. Instead, I'll just describe my average week while I was writing this script in September 2022. We live on a minimal income. That's a conscious decision, a trade-off between being able to live and follow our creative passions, and living in a way where our material desires demand that we have proper jobs to fund that lifestyle. Therefore, like those who the media describe as being in poverty, how we feed ourselves, stay warm, and meet life's everyday material challenges is more significant for us than the average, i.e. middle-class family. On Monday, my week began by making bread. 3 large loaves of blended wholemeal white sourdough. Each probably costs around £1 a loaf to make, a few pence cheaper than a bag of sliced industrial white bread, and probably much less than half the cost of something similar in the supermarket. But the price is irrelevant. It tastes lovely. It's way better for you than industrial bread, and making it is a joy. Over the summer we filled one drawer of our freezer with fresh raspberries, picked from our small plot of next to no maintenance raspberry bushes in the garden. That 4 square metre plot probably produced getting on for £100, shop equivalent price, of raspberries this year. We 5 or 6 kilos in the freezer. We also ate a lot fresh, and then we distributed the excess to our neighbours. In return, a neighbour had just given us about 6 kilos of fresh pears from their tree. We ate some, and on Thursday I turned much of the rest into pear pies to store in the freezer for later. Such examples of cooperative food culture are a natural part of human communities across the globe, and are innately political. They express the basic ideas of non-economic exchange and reciprocity which operate across human societies, albeit one which Western economics has re-engineered into a hierarchical, non-reciprocal and exploitative process. We don't have access to land to grow food. The allotments where I grew food as a child are now industrial units, and our small house has little space to store or grow food. The situation where an economic elite controls access to land for their exclusive benefit is a political choice. It's not a technical inevitability, because that's not the situation which existed here locally just a century ago. The way we use our raspberries and the reciprocal pears are an example of time-shifting food calories, more boringly called food preservation. For centuries, human communities have stored food, shifting the calories available in times of abundance to support their lives in the hard times of the hungry season. And the closer those communities are to the poles, the more deeply ingrained these food storage practices become in local traditional cultures.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
Wow. Okay.
I love this guy.
I love
That
this
sounds
guy.
like
No,
a dream. Like,
I need to listen to
it's
this every night when I'm going to sleep. Like, it's
yeah,
so soothing.
it's very soothing, and also like what a simple thing, like just having like just sharing fruit with your neighbors sounds in our very atomized society like a dream. Like it sounds like he lives in Little Bear or something.
Until you get like canceled for making chili out of that fruit and sharing it with your neighbors.
Kaylin, I'm so sorry. Your sound is kind of low. I'm just letting you know.
Better?
No, we just moved
That's better.
much better. We just moved to the countryside and we share a garden with a neighbor who's lovely. But then we started growing tomatillo plants and then ended up growing too many and giving some neighbors some tomatillo plants, and then they came and gave us some tomato plants, and then another neighbor gave us tomato plants. Now we've got tons of tomato plants and tomatillo plants, and it feels very like it's incredible. It's so nice. It feels like such a community building thing. Now I'm growing shisho herbs, which are like these Japanese herbs. They're really nice. I can't find
It's all just stuff we can't
relevant
get.
flavor, and so now I've grown too many again. So I'm giving pots away to other neighbors, and it is lovely, and it does feel like this probably was how it used to be always, and this is increasingly going to be important. But we're able to do that because we just moved to the countryside. But it's harder in places where you don't have.
Yeah, like
land
you say, where you're
or-
atomized.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was beautifully presented and kind of speaking from a pragmatic place of approaching some of these leftist ideas of degrowth or just like sustainability, but from a very practical place, from a very like just good writing is good company, that old principle. And yeah, also just like kind of dispelling certain misconceptions sort of quite incidentally, just by way of doing the thing properly. Like the idea that like we used to have a purely like a barter based society where like there was essentially fiat money without being fiat money is like nonsense. The thing that actually happened was what he referred to, which is that like your calories were dispensed across the year, and some of people had more of a certain kind of pear calories than other people who had more raspberry calories, and you would just or whatever it was. So I really like the way he just very humbly, straightforwardly framed it. Just that's exactly the kind of anarchist that in my experience.
It was such a gentle way to talk about like sharing and community.
Yeah.
Like really a gentle kind of, I had too many of this plant and this neighbor has too many of this, and now I have more. Now we each are enriched. It's like such a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
And also, like, the idea of growing your own food. I mean, everyone thinks that, and it is a lot easier in the countryside. But even if you live in a more urban area, there are always opportunities in certain types of crops that are suited to, smaller areas. Like if you have a small garden, or even like a garden on your balcony, and you can grow a few things like that. I know growing up, my parents actually always planted things in their backyard, and raspberries specifically were like weeds. They would just grow so easily. And when the summer was there, we'd have so many raspberries, and we had like no choice but to share them with everyone. I say no choice. It was nice to share them and meet people and
We
be
were
the
forced
raspberry
to
people,
share them.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't hoard them is what I'm thinking, because I love raspberries.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really great. And there's all sorts of cool things you can do in even in urban spaces. You can't grow every crop you'll need for a full meal, but you can at least do a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, the more we come together and the more we share and the more we build community and rely on each other, the better, frankly.
And reclaim land
And reclaim land.
and space.
Yeah.
Because there's always space. There's always space around. There's always place that you can grow. But
I just want to say, I like that you said you were forced to share them, Jose, because actually, like the idea of like wasting or hoarding fruit that you weren't going to use is unthinkable to like just like a normal person. Like this idea of like hoarding or throwing things away instead of distributing them to people who need them is new, and it goes against our own internal like rationale and logic, you know.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
I mean, well done to Rambling Activists for giving us so much to talk about. I feel like that kind of touched everyone in kind of a deep.
Yeah, and it seems like it's
place.
part of a series, and so
Yeah.
he'll go into more depth, and there's lots more to check out on that channel, right?
Yeah,
It was also very cozy. I liked the coziness.
It was like very cozy core, and now I want to like put this on while baking bread that I will then be forced to give my neighbors because I will not be able to eat an entire loaf of bread unless I'm drunk.
There's so much on that channel. It's
And this is how we build a communist society, by baking too much bread.
Kropotkin would be so proud of us. There we are. No, so everybody, we do, just to remind you, we've got these videos up on a playlist on our own channel, which is F the Algorithm. If you want to find out more about this person we featured, go there, check his video, like it, comment. That helps it catch on in the algorithm. If you watch it until the end, it helps it catch on. If you watch it until the end and then watch another video, it really helps it catch on. I just would love to give this person a boost because it's such a lovely voice.
Yeah.
But
literally
cozy, lovely voice.
Your message is lovely, but your voice is like so soothing.
You're so cozy. Just tell me stories, bedtime stories, please, about bread. No, I think the next
stories?
person. Oh no!
I had
go to bread.
Well, I think the next person to feature someone is actually Neil with our nepotism pick, because we do also know a bunch of creators, and so if somebody hasn't really submitted to us, or if there's somebody who we just feel like, well, they're our friend, should we feature them or not? We've given ourselves an out. We get one nepotism pick per stream, and there's Neil with ours right now.
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways to get yourself featured on F the Algorithm. One is to just make an amazing video, but somehow people don't see it, and then we discover it by accident. Another is to send an email to fthealgorithms@gmail.com and tell us why you want it to be featured. And the other way is just to be our friend, or you could do both, like poor Zilla, who has been waiting a long time and very patiently to be featured. And to be fair, this is overdue. And this is a great, delightful, cozy video. We talk about like literally nice voices. Well, there's at least 3 absolutely gorgeous voices, and like, yeah, and the good writing, good company principle applies here too in this next video, which is not just Zilla, but like a whole smorgasbord of friends and delightful people and great characters, including, but not limited to, our very own Mainly Mandy, who couldn't join us on the stream here, but normally does on F the Algorithm, and also features with Hoots and Kaylin on the Respect the Dead podcast, available on all your usual podcast providers.
Decidedly not cozy.
Right.
It depends on your relationship with alcohol, I guess.
Right. Yeah, so this is a little less of the screeching at each other about dead people, and a little more of like, this one reminded me, it kind of comes out the other end of satirizing kids TV and actually also delivers on what is nice about kids TV. It features That Dang Dad. It's on Zilla's Athenium. It's the name of the channel. Zilla is she, they, great creator.
Because I've always in my head been like Antheminium.
Yes, now I've said it, you all. God, imagine if I said it wrong. And then also like other, like Bother Boy, and this has Maddie Merlin in it as well, and Mainly Maddie. So
Maddie Merlin's a previous pick.
And Maddie Merlin is a previous pick, exactly. Yeah, so it's just a lovely. It's like hanging out with friends. But they are going to talk about police abolition, so also it's kind of got a dark edge. Please enjoy. You will enjoy, please. Enjoy.
Good morning, children. I'm Miss B, and this is my classroom. Do you know what today is? That's right. It's Meet a Community Helper Day. And so we have with us a very special guest, everyone's favorite That Dang Dad. He took an oath to protect and serve his community. That's you. And he's here to tell us all about it.
I sure am.
And don't worry, kiddos. He's not one of those bad apples you hear about. You know how the saying goes, right? One bad apple spoils the bunch. Now, first of all, Mr. Dad, can you tell the class what the police are all about?
Of course. The police are here to protect and serve the people. We're the sheepdogs who protect you from the big bad wolves.
Does that make us sheep?
Well, I suppose so, in the sense that we're all sheep in Jesus' flock.
I'm not a Christian, though.
Well, neither am I, but I'm sure that's just a harmless little metaphor.
So who are the wolves?
The wolves are the bad guys, the ones who hurt other people, the ones who make it not safe to go out at night.
How do you know I'm not a wolf? Grrr.
Oh, don't be silly, dear. Of course you're not. Not yet.
Baby hit me on the playground yesterday. Does that make him a wolf?
Well, no,
Do wolves look different than other people?
We have this saying, you see, about wolves wearing sheep's clothing. I mean, sometimes wolves pretend to be sheep so that we can't catch them.
I'm sure it's just a coincidence that wolves are often brown or black, and if sheep isn't white, it's defined by its outcast status.
Miss?
Sorry?
Well, don't worry, kiddos. We always catch the bad guys, no matter how hard they try to get away.
Actually, according to the FBI statistics, you solved less than half of violent crimes brought before you, and less than a quarter of property crimes.
Wait, isn't that really small? What about the rest?
Well, and I'm sure those numbers aren't right. That must be about people not reporting crimes to the police or something.
Mister, this Pew Research article says that it's only counting crimes reported to the police, which is less than half of all crimes overall.
Well, now, it's a difficult job, but it's worth doing no matter how hard it is. And when we catch the bad guys, we put them in prison so you don't ever have to deal with them again.
My best friend's cousin's dad went to jail last year for beating up her mom, and he's already out again. And she's been told she'll have to live with him part of the year.
Well, that's possible, sweetie, but hopefully he's learned his lesson.
What if he didn't?
Well, I suppose we'd have to lock him up again for longer this time.
Yes, like a timeout.
Timeouts don't teach me anything.
Timeouts make me cry.
Well, don't you want the bad guys to cry? I mean, don't you think we should punish them for doing bad things?
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, does punishment accomplish anything?
My older cousin got sent away for, my mom called it smoking reefer. Anyway, he used to be nice, but then he went away and then he came back all mean.
Well, it sounds like your cousin was doing drugs. I mean, drugs change people. They turn them into people that they didn't used to be.
My mom is the sweetest person ever, and she smokes. My brother is mean, but he doesn't do any drugs.
Well,
I take drugs for my ADHD. Does that make me a bad person?
oh, of course not. Not unless you give them to someone else. Or got them without a prescription, even though you need them. Or the cops just decide that something is fishy about them.
Miss, I would never arrest a child.
My older sister, she got handcuffed and taken by the school police last year for talking back to a teacher.
Oh, come on. Those are isolated incidents.
No, actually, they're not. While the rate of arrest of children under 18 is going down in the US, as recently as 2020, the number was still over 424,000, only 0.08 of which was for any kind of violence. Of the percentages specified, the largest portion of arrests of children under the age of 18 was for drug-related crimes, and the second largest was for disorderly conduct. In 2018,
I told you, it gets dark almost straight away.
Sorry, it's hard for me to know exactly when we're stopping it without constantly pulling up the the little timestamp at the bottom. So we did go a little over, and I cut it off in the middle of a sentence, but that's on me.
That's because we got drawn in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted more. That was such a lovely little video the way too Zilla had, and Aronok didn't get the mention initially, but all
Yeah.
of the other people too,
Perfectly
like,
balanced delivery.
perfectly balanced delivery, such good editing, Zilla, incredible, really well done. Because I'm assuming the script writing and editing together, but like the way it highlighted everybody's performance and everybody's role was really good.
I'm a big fan of breaking the medium and sort of shaking things up and doing things slightly differently. Getting beyond just Socratic dialogue or just like delivering the thing to the camera. And I thought that this was a really interesting, fun way to integrate a bunch of different creators because it kind of was adorable having it feel like a classroom. And like Maddie Merlin delivering that line about ADHD medication is the most flippant, heartbreaking, and adorable thing I've ever seen. And everyone kind of did pull it, like really pull it off. So yeah, I just really like that one. I think it's real cute and horrifying.
There's a line. Oh, sorry. There's a line I really like there. Don't you want the bad guys to cry? I felt like that perfectly captured the criminal justice system. It's making supposed bad guys cry.
What is more justice than people you don't like feeling bad?
Well,
I'm convinced.
Yeah.
That was
Go
easy.
police. There we are.
Yeah, that is it gets you thinking, doesn't it? Like that is an interesting point to zoom in on. And I don't know if you know, Phil, Jose, I don't know if you know that Dang Dad is a former cop. So this isn't like well, it is a bit, obviously, but it's also like a lot of his content is informed by that perspective. And like it's grim a lot of the time. So this is kind of doing a commentary on that too, sort of like brightening up that, but then you almost see more of the horror because it's simplified and brightened up, you know?
Yeah, I guess it gives us sort of like an inside glimpse into that whole institution, because it's really tough to get any sort of honest sort of insight into these spaces too, because there's a long tradition of cops sort of closing ranks and protecting one another and not openly discussing the flaws in the system there. And the fact that he's willing to sort of go out there as a cop and or a former cop, I should say, and talk about his experiences, that's just incredibly valuable. And I imagine, I'm not familiar with this content, but I imagine it provides a degree of insight that isn't usually available in other places.
Yeah, especially with like everything that Phil makes, that Dang Dad, there's a lot of very like honest videos that he posts about things that he was forced to do or chose to do while he was a police officer, the kind of stuff that doesn't get published or talked about. I know we're talking about Zilla's video, but I can just having Phil do that part, I think was really, really smart.
Yeah. So subscribe to everyone. Everyone subscribe to everyone. Wouldn't that be the real Marxism?
And watch the videos.
Oh,
Engage
that
too.
too.
Yeah.
Make bread.
We don't like empty subscriptions in this house, do we?
Oh
You have
yeah,
to
I think
engage.
it's a good thing to mention. Like, I can't imagine anybody here isn't totally in love with the creators we've watched so far. But if you're not, and you know it's not going to be for you, it doesn't really do anybody a favor to go and hit the subscribe button and then never watch any of their stuff again. It's okay if you don't like it, but you know, every time YouTube shows you a little thumbnail of a video and you don't click on it, it counts that as a little ding against a person. So don't necessarily go tell your Aunt Julie, who doesn't use the internet, to go subscribe to your YouTube channel if you're a starting creator, because it doesn't really do you much good. But I imagine that everybody here likes, I mean, both of these videos seem fantastic to me. I want to go rewatch both of them straight away. So if you do like them, yeah, do subscribe, do set aside time, watch, like, comment, all that stuff. And all right, so I believe we've got hoots first, but I see that we've got CTAs, and I should have asked what that meant.
Call to action.
Which we just did.
We're in the middle of it.
Yeah, so I've done the call to action. I've followed the script. I don't usually host these. I'm doing okay, though.
You're doing amazing.
Sarah's doing great.
There you go. That's
By
thank you.
instinct, I almost said sweaty at the end of it, and I was like, wait, no, stop.
You're doing great, Sweaty. You're doing better than I would have done.
Oh, you're always charming at this, Hoot. But it's your pick next. So tell us who you got.
That's right. Okay, so I chose disruptive philosophy, and Kaylin, this video has how many views right now?
69.
69
and 716 subscribers. So this is a fresh channel. This is
like 8 likes, which is madness.
Literally
for the
likes.
quality of content, and this is like an hour-long video. And I gotta be honest, like I chose like 10-minute section that is the least traumatizing part of it to put on the screen. So like when you go to watch this video, this very important video, content warning for lots of sexual assault and genocide and all the like very, very dark, gruesome things. I will say, like, it's a testament to disruptive philosophies. This is Brittany, pronouns she, he. It's a testament to Brittany's like skill as a personality and a content creator, that she's like still like very charming and funny in like a very dark video. I know that the title of the video is The History of Motherhood and Abortion in America. It's specifically like the history of kind of sex politics of, I mean, the history of sex and slavery, basically. So it's dark, it's gruesome. I've intentionally chosen one of the lighter sections of it, but I'm in a very dark, gruesome place at the moment, and it scratched that itch for me. It's very important information. It's an important and often overlooked history, because not overlooked, looked past. That I think we need to stare in the face as a culture. So having said that, let's watch the lighter section from it.
And more violent than their masters. Enslaved ladies' maids or enslaved house mistresses could serve revolutionary roles as pipelines of information to other enslaved peoples on a plantation. Enslaved house mistresses were in charge of the enslaver's wife. They were responsible for dressing and changing her. They trained in the care of clothing, hairdressing, makeup creation and application. They oftentimes were stylists and were expected to keep up on the latest fashions as they followed their lady enslaver about town. They made dresses, they made hats, and they were also completely on demand to their lady enslaver. Literacy was not required for this position, but oftentimes lady enslavers preferred it because it helped with the dressmaking. Enslaved house mistresses were expected to present themselves to the lady enslavers' meticulous standards of dress and hygiene, oftentimes with no resources, no soap, no supplies. Fashion styles in the 1800s oftentimes took assistance to dress yourself, and enslaved house mistresses and ladies obviously did not have assistance. In their resourcefulness, they created new fashions and found ways to create piece by piece garments that they could dress themselves in. It is in these hardships and struggles during slavery that Black people began to build the foundations of almost all art and culture today. Because part of the role of an enslaved headmistress was to be the lady enslaver's best friend, an enslaved headmistress could act as a resource of information to other enslaved people, creating warning systems about upcoming sales of enslaved family members or times when enslaved people could escape. Because of all of the valuable skills, trades, and arts that an enslaved house mistress provided a lady enslaver, they were one of the most valuable enslaved female roles on a plantation. Mean Girl Minion, Gossip Sounding Board, Enslaved Best Friend and Confidant, House Manager and Caregiver, On-Demand Personal Assistant, Spiritual Guide, Healer, Stylist, Fashion Designer, Makeup Artist, Hairstylist, Makeup Production, Seamstress, Housekeeper, Nanny, You were responsible for all of these jobs with no education, resources, or background. Oftentimes we did not read or write. But if we weren't there, these white women literally couldn't get dressed, or do their hair, or clean their house, or do their makeup, or have clothes to wear, or take care of their children. Or who would they gossip to? Who would heal them? Who would save them? Are you getting the point? After being completely triggered and calming back down, I feel like the real question is, what the fuck did white women do with all of that free time, other than torture us?
Affluent people don't only marry more and stay married, but they also have the resources to buy the support that the extended family and community used to provide, in the form of babysitting, professional childcare, tutoring, coaching, therapy, expensive after-school programs, and life coaches. Meanwhile, working-class families struggle financially, emotionally, and mentally to build and maintain stability.
Fictional movies and rewritten history has given us a lot of false narratives and stereotypes. Particularly Gone with the Wind has given us a very false narrative about what is a mammy. The character in Gone with the Wind that is named Mammy is actually not a mammy. She is the head house mistress. A mammy was specifically the enslaved wet nurse and sometimes eventually nanny who was responsible for breastfeeding and looking after the lady enslaver's children. Like previously mentioned, the character would have been one of the most valuable and influential enslaved persons on the plantation. They were not required to be pretty, they were not required to be light-skinned, and they worked in the house intimately every day with the enslavers. Being light-skinned was not an immediate guarantee to material privilege. Most light-skinned enslaved people were the product of RAPE. They were sold into slavery, just like the rest of enslaved people, and the state legally made sure of this. It was about being pretty to the enslavers. No matter the skin color, the prettier you were, the closer enslavers had you to them. Whether you were sold into sex slavery or you were a concubine, you were in for a massive amount or more of rape. I wanted to highlight this point because within the Black community, we are still having many discussions over colorism, featureism, and the privileges these bring. Maybe we should be approaching this topic a little bit differently and bringing in the historical context, as well as listening to the stories and experiences of people who grew up in predominantly white households or predominantly white neighborhoods. That the idea that light skin brought you privilege or less slavery or less torture or less harm or less psychological abuse or less mind prisons or less suicide or less infanticide is a lie. It is a lie used to divide us. To fault light-skinned or mixed people for something they have no control over is not who we are as a community. People of color, colonized people, have had a universal truth and shared enemy that our collective action against should precede our need to other. In the next chapter, we will be diving a little bit deeper into this topic.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's a channel I know I'm going to be binging everything from immediately. That's so my taste. Everything about that was so compelling, such interesting history, such good storytelling, even just in the section we watched. The editing was great. The way it pulls, her voice is incredible. Her delivery is incredible. Pacing.
Yeah.
I love that.
I feel like I was actually looking for, I'm really happy with the picks. I have 2 picks this time, and it was pure luck that I ended up being so happy with the picks I got. But I feel like I was looking for this channel. What I was hoping to find was this channel. I'm so glad that you did, Hoots, because like it just feels like this is what F the algorithm is for.
Yes.
Because like we all sort of talk a good circle jerk game of making leftist content about, you know, things. Here's a movie, you know, like, isn't it kind of, it's kind of like, you know, anti-capitalist if you think about it hard enough. But like, then you just have something like this and it's like, all right, just shut up and watch this video. Like, this is, you know, everyone subscribe to Disruptive Philosophy. And this time you don't even have the excuse of don't subscribe if you're not going to watch. Just also watch.
Yeah.
It has 69 views at the moment. 69 views. And that's
right. Yeah.
Believe somebody this talent. I hate YouTube. I fucking hate it. It is not an egalitarian. Like, we can't pretend there's any meritocracy. It's the most blatant example of, like, sometimes you find a channel and the videos are just extraordinary, and then you look and they've never gotten any views and the person's quit YouTubing 2 years before.
Yeah.
And I really hope we can keep that from happening here, because holy shit. Sorry.
That particular video as well. You like, little behind the scenes thing. You guys know how, like, I'm always like agonizing over how to end a video, like how to conclude, and I never feel like my conclusions are like that strong. the conclusion is so strong and really stays with you and kind of like makes you feel cold in your belly. It's so good. It's like I wanted there was a part of me that was like, do I want to play the conclusion? I didn't want to play the conclusion because I think you need to just like watch the whole video to get to it, to really feel feel it and sit in it. But it's so good. Like watch it for that alone. Again, watch it when you know you're in a good place and you've got like a good comedy series lined up afterwards, because I just showed you
I'm ready to be in a bad place.
yeah, I just showed you the lighthearted part of the video.
Yes.
I imagine so. I imagine it's very hard to make a video about slavery lighthearted, really.
Yeah.
And
I think that's
sex, a lot of RAPE.
Yeah, I'm familiar a little bit with the literature on Black Americans and the history of slavery and RAPE and how that feeds into modern white feminism. So I'd be very interested to follow up with this. Like Hortense Spillers and all of those. I'd be very interested to watch this, excuse me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
sure like
my watch later. Oh, sorry, Jose.
Yeah, same here. I'm sorry I interrupted you too. Just to echo what everyone's saying, this is definitely something. I'm not going to watch it after the stream immediately because I think I'm going to need to like prepare myself a little before going into it. But it seems very much like an essential video, and also it's another case of a channel that I'm always like kind of flabbergasted when I see these small channels where so much time and effort is put into a video, and it just has not gotten any traction. And I feel like that's sort of the small YouTuber life. And I really hope whoever this person is, hopefully this stream will help a little, but more importantly, I hope they just keep creating stuff. And hopefully we can help boost it in the future, because this kind of talent isn't very common, and I think it's important we elevate it as best we can.
No,
Right
completely.
on.
Well said.
And we're gonna try and we're gonna be real cringe and try and be friends and be like, you want to do a quote read for us, and let's be friends. So it's real good.
If you are somebody who we feature today, watch out. We are going to try and make contact with you. We always try and follow up with people who we feature. So watch out for that. Just because a couple of us got put on the eyeball zone, which was incredible, but like sometimes you get a boost and then you don't know what to do next. So we do try and reach out and make some connections so that people aren't just kind of left on their own. So it's me next, but I wanted to ask before we barrel over whether Kaylin or Mika, whether you had anything to say.
Yeah, like that channel is a hidden gem, right? There's like a lot of the videos are really creative as well, and like the framing is really interesting. They're not just like standard video essay style videos. Definitely go and check it out. I haven't watched that one in full. I'm gonna do that later, but it like the research and the reading that has gone into a lot of these videos is incredible. And yeah, 69 views is criminal.
Yeah, I really appreciated pulling in the like historical archetypes with examples that people watching today will like fully be able to pay, like, oh, okay, so that's what that is. I've seen this before. This is not over. This is like directly being perpetuated as we speak in things that I've watched like last year or whatever. I thought that was very effective. Because a lot of times when I watch things that are more like history based, there's a bit of disconnection where people are able to be like, well, that was so long ago.
All right.
So I really appreciated seeing so many like obvious examples that hopefully people will see and then like have that like light bulb moment.
Yeah, such a good example of tying it in, because I feel like I've been disappointed by in recent enough memory, like tropes, racist tropes entering mainstream, like like you'll still see something like a movie that has like a magical Negro, or like the film The Help got made, like something like that. I don't know. It's really smart to tie it to all the contemporary examples at the same time.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. What's me next? I'm just doing all the talking today.
I've been excited about your recommendation.
I've been excited about my recommendation. So I found this channel. So most of the people that we feature are people that have emailed us. If you are a creator, again, just email us at fthealgorithms or ft. We'll put the email in the chat because I don't trust myself, but I believe is it FV or FT?
It's fthealgorithms@gmail.com.
Thealgorithms with an S at gmail.com. We also have it in the description box of our own channel. We've got it on the Twitter page. And just send us a little email with the video link and why you think it would be good to feature. But in my case with this video, this is somebody whose work I came across in the wild because I saw a thumbnail for a video about a rap about if Foucault was a conspiracy theorist in the modern day. And I was like, well, I need to watch this. And it was incredible. And I started going through, and a lot of this person's channel is like hip-hop philosophy, which is extraordinary. But then there are also some more conventional like speaking videos, one of which I'm showing today. And I'm sorry, Jose, this is another bird channel. This is somebody who's got a bird icon, but it is made by Artin Salimi, he, him, and he's extraordinary. And I was totally in love. The video starts with a little bird doing weightlifting, and it just gets better from there.
Okay.
You are a piece of shit. Excuse for a bird.
Oh yeah, I'm a piece of shit.
But it's not your fault.
It's not my fault.
Society at large is feminizing male birds in general. It's all part of their plan.
Part of their plan.
But if you subscribe to everything I tell you, you will overcome this degeneracy and find glory in your life. Hey.
Whoa, what the f?
You have been groomed.
Who?
Shh. It's okay, really. It happens. But we need to talk about it, because you're only 14 years old, and there's something very wrong about this. By the end of this video, we hope you can find a way to love yourself.
But it's true, birds are becoming feminized. Look at all this decadence. Society needs real men in order to function. And
Listen, you piece of shit. Hey. Listen, you piece of shit. The entire shtick that masculinity is in crisis is a key selling point of a market that profits off of your insecurity. Every generation thinks the next generation is spoiled, lazy, decadent, and in need of toughening up. But a point to remember is that the generation prior to theirs also thought that they were spoiled, lazy, decadent, and in need of toughening up. In the West, the steady feminization of our men at the same time that Marxism is being taught to our children is no coincidence. It's an outright attack. Bring back manly men. 2004. Today's men, particularly young men, are embracing their feminine side, experts say. They're seeking sleek electronics, the right face cream, and an honest manicurist. It's a social evolution. 1984. I am an older woman, and I believe in equal rights and all, but don't you think all this women's lip stuff has contributed to the wimping of the American male? Am I just imagining it, or is today's man less manly than those I grew up with? A strong woman should be for a strong man. 1977. Living in high-rise apartment buildings helps make men effeminate. A man with no garden to dig or the opportunity to carry out masculine activities becomes passive and effeminate. 1965. Men are increasingly avoiding their responsibilities nowadays with an increasing use of toiletries, long hair, and dandified clothes. 1950. We men are getting feminine. I can't entirely stomach the idea either, but it seems to be true. Some research guys looking into men's masculine-feminine ratios tell us we're losing our masculinity and gaining femininity. 1940. Raw meat diet. At the meeting of the American Medical Association, a speaker maintained that people are getting less vigorous, the men more feminine and the women more masculine, because we don't eat raw meat. 1934. Women imitating men have caused men to become less chivalrous. Too much feminine influence early in life is having a serious impact on men. 1925. Men becoming effeminate. New York physician says they are, and cites lilac pajamas as proof. 1922. Men becoming feminine, using too much makeup. 1920. Growing weakness on the part of the men of the country is developing a sinister feminism. 1910. If the American woman persists in her undue athletic sports, there will soon be little difference between the masculine and the feminine. 1902. I notice a certain style among young men in almost every locality. A style so repulsive and weak so to shock the intelligence of refined people. The hateful style of parting hair in the middle. My observation is that 9 young men out of every 10 who part their hair in the middle are useless to the church and worthless to society. In your mind, it's now that things are f***ed, while in the past all men looked like this. Newsflash, they didn't. And they themselves thought, just like you, that all men of the past looked like this. They didn't. And they themselves thought, and that's just how it goes. Masculinity is always defined by an absence that haunts its presence. It sounds spooky, but it really isn't. Everything you're hearing now has been said before, using the technologies of that particular context. Some people get rich off of this hustle. You think you've discovered the truth as opposed to the sheep that surround you, all the while being haunted by all the previous generation's baggage, which are then projected onto the next generation, and the cycle of violence continues to yourself and everyone around you. کافر همه را به کیش خود پندارد. The sinner sees everyone else tainted in their sins. See these muftis with beards down to their chest. Let me tell you something about these guys. If you ever hear someone ranting off about decadent times, I guarantee you that they themselves get up to some of the most ratchet shit you could ever conceive of. The only thing these pricks don't do is eat pork. Why do you think they keep repeating the line, only Allah can judge me? Because there's a shitload there to judge. The more guilty they feel about doing something, the more they project it onto others and condemn a whole society for it. The sinner sees everyone tainted in their sins.
I love this guy.
It's so good. It's so good.
I said in the chat already, but the listen you shit, hey, listen you shit was a really funny joke.
Yeah.
Listen you little shit.
The bird on the typewriter gave me so much life. Also, real truth news, like, so good. Everything just hit me in the exact way.
I am an extremely pro-bird person, so I'm always happy to see a new bird-themed channel appear. And I mean, you apologized for it earlier, Sarah, but the thing about the birds is birds of a different feather do sometimes like to flock together.
Oh, so there you go.
I'm always happy to highlight another bird-themed channel, especially if, there are videos that are so fun and good.
I'm so glad we're on BirdTube. I'm like...
BirdTube's the next big
video.
I loved that. I think that it also managed to I don't know if everyone thinks of it this way, but there's a sort of there's a kind of music and cadence, and I think this is very much like a music and cadence form of persuasion kind of a video, and I think we all do it with like our editing and maybe with our script, where we'll have like repeated phrases or a certain number of syllables that will go in a loop and a loop and a loop, and then you break it. And this was an example of that being like where all the dials were turned up to 12, or it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to do the like, and here's an example from the past, and here's an example from the past, and here's an example from the past. By the way, look at this guy. And then just took that turn at exactly that point and was like, yeah, no, I can speak from this perspective, and I'm gonna speak hard. And I don't think I think like it's not a coincidence that this is like a musician.
Yeah.
It's very much playing with the beats of persuasion and the timbre of persuasion. So I just love that. That was amazing.
No, all of his, because I've like gone and watched I've watched an embarrassing amount of his videos now, because like, yeah, some of them are just like, here's like a song, like a hip hop song about, you know, Foucault was a conspiracy theorist, or this philosopher, and it's just like, oh, this is just like very clever, solid wordplay. And then to see also this, where it's like using musical beats of persuasion to kind of pull along.
Yeah.
There's no bit that's like, it was very hard to limit to 5 minutes. I picked the first 5 minutes because I was like, okay, I think you need the intro, but it just keeps getting better and better.
Okay, great. Well, cool. What a great discovery of a channel. I hope you all enjoy.
All right. Anybody else have things to say, or should I move us on?
I'm excited for the next one, but that was really good. That was like very, very good, and I'm very excited to watch the rest of it, because yeah, the beats, the jokes, the visuals, the lavender pajamas, it was brilliant.
I felt a little called out by that one.
Also the all right. Well, then... Oh yeah, the middle parts. Society going.
Are they wrong?
Well then, so Neil, your pick is next. So this was Neil at like 1 a.m. being like, oh my god, I know I already have an F the algorithm pick, but now I want to do another F the algorithm.
Yeah, literally yesterday, or this morning, I guess.
This morning.
It was kind of just serendipity that this video dropped, and I know I already did a nepotism pick, but this is someone who I don't particularly know, but who did get in touch with me by external channels, just to be like, hey, I've dropped a video. It doesn't seem like very many people are watching it, but I think it's kind of important. And then I clicked on the link and I was like, holy fucking shit. You what? You did what? And just to let that hype sort of sit for a second, if the last video exists in a post-Jose world, where, you know, bird art is in its moment, this video exists in a post-Kaylin Conrad moment, because for those of you who don't know, Kaylin blew up, Kaylin is on the stream with us, blew up largely because of going undercover in private Facebook groups for concerned gender-critical mothers under the pseudonym of Carl Marinara. Now, I'm giving a brief overview. Please jump in at any point if I misrepresent you. And created an incredible 3-part series about how this is essentially a cult, and these are poisonous groups, and it's really, really dangerous, and you would not believe the things that you hear. And this video that we're about to watch from Dead Domain, who's a relatively new creator, absolutely amazing production values, amazing like documentary producer, essentially, has taken it upon herself to go undercover in the local Baptist church, which happens to be a Baptist church which is kind of going viral at the moment for spreading particularly toxic hate around trans people, gay people, and the LGBTQ community in general.
Yes.
Yeah, it's taking the groomer rhetoric, as will be pointed out in the video, taking the groomer rhetoric of people like Matt Walsh or Ben Shapiro, and then just going that little bit further, and that little bit further is extraordinarily far. This video goes to dark and terrifying places. All of the caveats are there in the trigger warnings in the clip we're about to see, but it's kind of fascinating as well as horrifying. It's really, really vital and necessary work, particularly at the moment. And honestly, it's less a case of like giving this a bump because I can, and more a case of being privileged to get in on the ground floor with such an exciting and brave creator. I'm privileged to know this person even a little bit, and to be able to go, hey, look, everyone, look at the work that's being done here. This is scary and brave and amazing.
of a deluge of anti-LGBTQ hate speech this Pride Month, growing effort spearheaded by people like Matt Walsh, J.K. Rowling, Tim Pool, and more. A lot of people have been rightfully concerned about the safety and threats of violence against trans and queer people. Understandable, as conservatives' first impulses after a trans woman on a beer can was to shoot things.
Fuck Bud Light and fuck Anheuser-Busch.
And after adult underwear was to throw a fit in the Target.
This is such bullshit. LGBTQ designed sandals for your kids to wear.
But there were a few other troubling tea leaves too. One I saw was of a transphobic hate preacher, Jason Graber, who was recorded reading a sermon saying all gay people and trans people should be rounded up by the government and murdered for the good of society.
Have a transgender surgery done on them. Any parent that would do that, they just need to be shot in the back of the head. Right. And then we can string them up above a bridge.
This is what Jason Graber with the Sure Foundation Baptist Church in Spokane says should be done to parents who allow their transgender child to receive gender-affirming care.
Naturally, this video was met with outcry, but soon forgotten about. It's not a good look for mainstream conservatives to be speaking in favor of executing gays. However, I saw something interesting. You see, this church is based in my town, and thus an idea for a very special Pride video was born. I decided to go to church. It would be too easy to just go to a single sermon and point fingers at the doctrine on display. They upload all their sermons, so really anybody can do that. But a congregation isn't just a single pastor, it's a group of people. Make no mistake, this is a hate church. They are incredibly invested in homophobic bigotry. I heard some of the most disgusting calls for violence I've ever seen in person as these people smiled to a congregation with children in attendance. But that's not exactly surprising. What was surprising was how closely their rhetoric mirrored the exact same talking points you'd hear on a Daily Wire broadcast. The only difference was they crossed the line into calling for violence, where someone like Matt Walsh will merely walk up to it and back down for fear of being censored. Here's the thing. Hate like this, like the kind you find at this church, doesn't just manifest on its own. It's incubated by right-wing culture war ideologues, the same ideologues I mentioned earlier, people like Charlie Kirk, Mark Dice, Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro, and others. This is pretty common knowledge to anyone who pays attention every time a mass shooter manifesto is unveiled, and shocker, the 4chan scumbag cites Tim Pool or Lauren Southern. But those same commentators are directly insulated by a lack of accountability they can claim. When a shooter dies, the manifesto becomes suspect to claims of fraud, hoaxes, false flags, and other right-wing go-tos to deflect why violence keeps coming from right-wingers, but the right-wingers aren't actually responsible. This allows people like Tim Pool and Matt Walsh to just wriggle free of any claims that their rhetoric, which dances just barely around incitement, is actually spreading a culture of fear, hate, and violence. Which brings me back to church. Why would I, a trans queer, willingly go to a church where people blatantly admit they want to kill me? It says so right on the website, by the way, if you're thinking that Pastor Graber's rant was an unhinged one-off, but we'll get to that later. It's because I wanted to look these people dead in the eye, on their home turf where they were most comfortable, and see just how much of what they say comes from the Bible versus the right-wing political commentary they consume. So to really dig into what these people believe and where they get it from, I spent a month attending services, joining church potlucks, sharing my stories, and hearing their own. I got a pretty clear look at how much of their open calls for violence mirror the rhetoric of right-wing ideologues, and even more alarmingly, how their often hypocritical philosophies are misleading their congregation and, by extension, the children in attendance. Every content warning will apply, from racism and anti-Semitism to blatant homophobia, slurs, transphobia, sexual assault, murder, descriptions of mutilation and dismemberment. And according to this church, all of that is part of God's love. These are the kind of people who claim they're always taken out of context, that they're always smeared by mainstream news media. So let's go inside the church for ourselves and hear what they have to say in their own words.
And that's all you get. Now you have to, you have to watch the rest now, right?
I want more now.
I know. Immediately after the stream.
I may have cheated and watched this entire video already, which isn't even, it's not, it actually organically came up for me in the algorithm, and I saw it and I went, wait, that's Neil's pick. And then I went, I'm not gonna watch it though. And it's incredible. This person, they're so brave. They go into this church. They must have had like a hidden microphone on them, and they capture like not just the sermons, but conversations with people, and the sort of that. It's so brave. It's so, oh my God, I can't believe this is being preached live. They make a point at some point of saying like, I've checked with a lawyer friend and I'm able to put this on the internet and not get in trouble. But it's like, geez, okay, well, you actually went and into a place where people are calling for your murder. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, it's incredibly brave. I do want to just point out, I did a she, dead domain is a they them, like so many of us, and just want to be sure about that. But like, all of their work seems to be incredible, and all of it has, I mean, quite outside of this extraordinary premise. Can we just stop for a moment and the tightness of the editing, the efficiency of the script, the pacing, and the tension that, they are most definitely building on purpose because good storytelling, and the place that we're all in set up. We understand all of the terms, we know exactly what's coming, and we're just set to be like to have our minds blown.
Yeah.
Right apart from the praxis and the bravery of the thing, can we just like maybe to make sure that we observe that there's so much artistry happening here too?
Yeah.
And like, please give this person their flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the setup and the ramp up to...
When I see something like this...
Oh, yeah, sorry, go.
We interrupt each other a lot. But just the very concept here is so important, because a lot of investigative journalism doesn't really happen in a lot of outlets, and like that's what this is to me, right? This is a deep investigation into a community that's having a huge, profound impact on society. And you know, the funding for this sort of thing isn't going to come from corporate media in particular, because, well, for a lot of reasons. But that's why we need sort of independent voices that are willing to do this. And like the fact that anyone takes this on is always really impressive to me. And I am just very hungry to watch this video now. I feel like everything we've seen is something I want to now tune into. But this like very much is like hitting a vibe I resonate with very strongly.
Yeah, and you know, this video, I think, well, when it was shared with me yesterday, it had 30 views.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, wait, no, we must fix. I think it's got a good bit more since then, and I actually think that Dead Domain is doing an extraordinary job of building their own audience anyway. As much as that is an impossible thing to even attribute credit to. But like, this is a case of like, no, this creator is good, this creator is important, and also this is commercial in a sense, like in terms of like how video essays go. Like this is something that like people should be, could be, will be watching. We just need to remedy a little bit this
Undercover
algorithm thing.
investigative
Absolutely.
reporting. It's extraordinary. It's so important.
Yeah. So I think I would be so happy if we had any small role to play in just going like, okay, now you go stratospheric, please. We'll just attach some liquid hydrogen rockets, and you please go stratospheric now.
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. People should see this video. This is a really important video. This is an extraordinary piece of reporting and work. And yeah. Hoots, Kaylin.
I was like, I don't want to talk over anybody again. Yeah, just the build up and the ramp up was so perfectly done. In the same way that you find in like a true crime series, or like just that hook was so strong. I actually, they sent this to me over DM this morning, and then I took a screenshot of the DM and sent it to the group. And like, I'm usually doing all the tech stuff, so I stopped presenting individual pics, but I was like, maybe I'll break that rule for today, so I'm going to send this to the chat. And then Neil was like, oh, that's my pic. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm very happy about that, both because I didn't have to do anything, but also that it got featured. And I'm obsessed. This is like way doper than, I'm not gonna like do a comparison thing, but like going in person and showing up with like a mic is so badass. I am obsessed, and I'm very grateful that people are out there doing this, because like Jose said, this does not get funded. There's no support for this kind of investigative journalism, especially when there's the possibility of like there being like issues with like legality, depending on like if you're like a one party consent recording state or whatever. Like people don't want to cover this, and they're not willing to spend their time on this. So having like citizen journalists do like undercover like primary research in places like this is so important. And I think this is the kind of stuff that makes people take notice and can change people's mind, because they want to see it firsthand. Like just saying like, oh, this group is transphobic, people don't care, people don't listen. But showing like outright like these people should be murdered, I think it does a great service to the community.
Yeah.
Also in those spaces, like was mentioned in the video, people let their guard down and will sort of reveal more of what they really mean. And one of the most frustrating things with a lot of more public-facing transphobic stuff is that it's so heavily like coded, and there's so many dog whistles, and there's always just this unspoken element to it that makes it really difficult to engage with. So being able to sort of just expose what's actually being said behind closed doors, what the long-term plans actually are, is so important, because I don't know, there are a lot of people out there who will hear the sort of carefully coached and very much these manicured statements that'll be like, well, they're not saying anything like genocidal, they're just like talking about ideology or something. There's this element of plausible deniability. So being able to just like skip that step and go straight to, no, these people are hateful and they want to commit genocide here. That's extremely important to do.
Yeah.
Right on.
Completely. Well, I'm definitely I've already seen that one, so I get to go to a different one after the stream, but I bet a bunch of us are gonna go immediately to that one after the stream. But we are at our last video, so I just wanted to remind anybody or tell anybody who is coming in, this is F the Algorithm. We do have our own little channel. We've each individually got our own channel. So you'll see on screen Kaylin from Kaylin Conrad, Hoots from Hoots, Mika from Ponderful, obviously, Jose, and then myself and Neil share a channel. We are the Leftist Cooks. And we've each got our own channel. We do have our own F the Algorithm channel, and if you head over there and click subscribe, you'll see through our community tab where we're streaming next month, which platform we're on, but you will also see playlists of all of the pics from today's stream and all of the pics from previous streams. And there are some incredible people on there. If you need something to binge, just go put on one of those playlists. They're all incredible, as you've seen today. Like really good pics, some incredible
gems. Never even
gems.
seen Babilla.
Yeah, a bunch of you have never even seen Babilla, so head over, and we've got our previous streams on as well. So if you want to see our stream we did with Legal Kimchi, it is there. Our stream with Zoe B is there. Our stream with Turb, it's there, and FD Signifier as well. And this has been so lovely streaming with you, Jose. Thank you so much for not just guest hosting with us, but letting us stream on your platform, because it gets us new views and gets these smaller channels new views too. It's really kind.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm happy to highlight smaller channels in particular. I know YouTube is a really tough space to find an audience, and the algorithm isn't something that really rewards very thoughtful and interesting content. It's usually just chasing various trends and sort of stuff gets pushed to the front page. And I've been very fortunate that my channel has had the opportunity to grow, and I just want to sort of help others as best I can. And I don't know, some of these channels we've highlighted today, I feel like are going to get a lot bigger, or at least I certainly hope so.
Absolutely, no question. Oh, and I should mention too, and I'm forgetting, we usually also stream with the incredible Mainly Mandy, who stepped aside to stream today so that we could all have a more convenient time slot for the rest of us. So if you haven't checked out Mainly Mandy, please do that too, because she's the most charming people in the world. But we're on our last video, and it's actually your pick, Jose. Before I ask you to introduce it, do you know what timestamps we should be orienting towards?
I have no idea. I feel like if you just jump in, it'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
Perfect. We'll start from the start. So why don't you introduce the video for us then?
Sure. So, when I knew this stream was going to happen, I wanted to find a pick of my own I could include. But, the life of a busy YouTuber, you don't get a lot of time to see new and upcoming channels that often. So I did some looking around, and I found this one called the Totally Unrelated Podcast. And it's been around for a minute. It's still pretty small. And I watched one of their videos, Debt for Nature, Swamps, and the Environmentalism of the Rich. I was just kind of blown away. It's this essay looking at how, we get a lot of talk from environmentalism from these sort of big institutions and wealthy investors who will look at, basically they'll come at you with these pitches as if they're revitalizing these small communities and making them investing in them to sort of like philanthropy. When you actually peel things back, you realize billionaires don't always have the best interests at heart for some of these communities. And just looking at this channel, it seems like it's in that phase, and this is just sort of a rough tip for any small creators out there. When you're small, you have space to experiment. So this channel started off as like a series of podcasts where people would discuss various things with a vaguely leftist quality to it. And their most recent video is moving towards a video essay, and I hope they kind of continue doing this because they have a talent for it. I don't remember the creator's name. I know she's from, I believe, Romania, which is not a part of the world we get a lot of channels from as well. And I think that's another cool thing to just make this more of a global community, because if any sort of leftist project is going to work, it's going to have to be one that is people from around the world working together to push back against the system that seems to be dominating the whole planet. And yeah, I just thought this was pretty good, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
Our story begins on a cold and most probably rainy night in London, as the suits and ladies in mink coats make their way to the Clermont Club, where they'd soon be all warm and fuzzy with the thrill of gambling and dreams of bringing back the days of the good old empire. For you see, the Clermont Club was a dig in Mayfair, frequented by more millionaires, earls, dukes and cabinet members that you could shake a stick at. Among this otherwise weak-chinned crowd, there was a steely, blue-eyed bastard by the name of Sir James Goldsmith. And yes, he's a sir because you can always trust the royals to be great judges of character, as we know.
Do I regret the fact that he has quite obviously conducted himself in a manner unbecoming? Yes.
Unbecoming? He was a sex offender.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm being polite.
Over the course of his life, Jim managed to build up quite a resume, from fresh-faced eloper with the heiress of a fortune, to venal corporate raider, to environmentalist colonialist, and eventually pioneer Brexiteer. In short, Goldsmith was always putting himself about. And it's only fitting to make him the protagonist of this episode because of all the awful ways in which the man left his mark on the world. James Goldsmith was also one of the pioneers of what is now labeled the environmentalism of the rich, or conservation financing, because for everyone who doesn't own a spaceship that they occasionally use to blow up other people with, caring about the environment is about the necessities of life, about the simple yet baffling concept of surviving on this planet without destroying it, or humanity, for that matter, in the process. Now, if you are one of the boys, and it's mostly boys, of the 1% club, and you've got money coming out of orifices you didn't even know the human body possessed, well, then, my friend, environmentalism is something completely different. It becomes a tool with which you make sure that no one blocks the endless supply of gold to your ever-expanding hoard. What you do is you take a look at all the resources people have been sharing freely and using communally, and you start putting up fences. Now, some of these fences are quite literal enclosures. However, if you are a developing country, suffocated by debt you can't repay, you might just find you are in possession of some rivers, lakes, forests that you can spare. Here, I'll hold them for you, and we'll pretend the debt just went poof. We'll call it that for nature swap. What? No, you can't have it back, you silly thing. It's a protected area now. Besides, Jimmy told me you can't have it, 'cause you'd break it.
Fuck you, Jimmy.
Part 1. The boy who would be rich, because he already was, and married an heiress anyway. James Goldsmith grew up as the son of luxury hotel tycoon and conservative MP Major Frank Goldsmith. I don't know about your spawn point, but it's probably better than what most of us could hope for. One of Jimmy Boy's first noteworthy exploits happened in his early 20s, when he eloped with his first of several wives, Bolivian heiress Isabel Patiño. And for those of you wondering, eloped is one of those words that people with money use when they feel like being naughty. Poor people and tired millennials, by contrast, just don't have enough money to marry, nor have enough bars on their mental health meter to put up with the stress of having a wedding. Now, sadly for all those involved, the romance between Isabel and James was short-lived, as she died while giving birth to the couple's daughter, also named Isabel. Struck with grief, Goldsmith turned to fortune building to, I guess, center himself? And the best way to build is to smash and grab. So Jim got into the business of taking over and breaking up companies.
Wow!
Holy fuck. Yes.
Also obsessed.
Wow.
It's so
Oh my
slick.
God.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh my
Like, she's so funny. Her voice is like incredible. That accent is so soothing.
I
She's
knew that
so
accent
funny.
would send hoots into like a fervor. Like...
Yeah. The second she started talking, I was like, yes.
And the snark. I was losing my mind. It was perfect timing, perfect delivery. Just the, funniest fucking line you've ever heard. Yeah.
Yes, very Eastern European that way. I think people are going to be wondering for the next 3 months why every single quote read is read in a Romanian accent in like half of everyone on BreadTube's videos. Jose, I'm wondering how many views did that have before this?
195 right now.
Yeah, it was a little under 200.
156 subscribers.
Okay, we're all gonna fix that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat. There's 127 people watching right now, and you're all gonna go subscribe, and you're all gonna watch this video.
It's very important. That was so. I think it was Armchair Egyptology also pointed out how slick it was. And I think that it's interesting. It's Hoots and Armchair Egyptology both pointing out Slick, when you're both such slick channels, and it's like, oh yeah, well, Slick matters, you know. But this is somebody who's like, well, yeah, but we're all going to learn some new ways to strut now, because that's the other thing about F the algorithm is, even though these people might be like smaller in terms of like numbers of subscribers or views, like there's so much to learn and steal from these incredibly imaginative, talented people. And I'm looking at it going like, okay, yeah, like I've used jazz music and a montage of like documentary footage and snark voiceover before, but now I will be better at it.
Yeah, and one really
God.
impressive thing about this channel is a lot of the older videos are more of a dialogue where the host brings on someone else and they talk about various issues. But even those sort of like podcast things, which I mean, most podcasts, they just throw up an image and like that's it. This like cuts to different images over what they're talking about, and just like the level of effort and care that's going into these videos. I mean, this most recent one I think is even does better than those earlier ones. But just this the level of effort and care that goes into the videos is always really impressive. And she sounds so effortless in her delivery. It's just like, this is just a simple line. She's just gonna drop a little joke here for you and then move on, and it's a little annoying, but also very impressive. I wish I was that good, basically.
Yeah, it's real cool.
She's too fucking cool. No, it's so good.
Great recommendation, Jose.
Mika, you have anything you want to add?
I just echo what everyone said. Slick, absolute natural. That she's only just started doing video essays is incredible to me. That's amazing. Like, it looked amazing. It was engaging. The jokes were on point. Just perfect. Great pick.
God.
Yeah, there's literally not a single thing I noticed while watching this that I would change. Steal, yes, as Neil said. Change.
It was
absolutely
flawless.
Not. Like
literally flawless.
Yeah.
No, so I will remind.
I watched
go
it
ahead.
yesterday, and I'm just saying the joke with Prince Andrew still got me. It's like, I saw it already, but it was still just like, wow, so well done.
I actually, okay, well, like there were lots of tiny things in the script that were amazing, but I also think pointing out that the concept of eloping is one with class connotations was again, like, however cringe it is to admit, like, was new information for me. Speaking as someone like, you know, who has no time for British colonization and like the class system, like it was still like, oh yeah, right, like elope is kind of like expat, right? It's a very specific term for a very specific category of person.
Yeah.
So like, thank you, more of that, please. Keep reminding me of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
No, I'm very in love. I'm so well done, all of you, picking such good videos, but also well done, all of you creators. Thank you for making such entertaining, interesting work. I really feel like a lot of these in particular are going to be ones I'm going to binge and learn a lot and be entertained and be comforted by, and all the different experiences you look for.
Yeah.
Just really gorgeous.
Be our friends.
And if you are somebody we featured today, look out for communication from us, because we are going to reach out to you just to say hi and try and provide a little bit of additional support. And otherwise, God, everybody watching who is not one of these few creators, please remember, we've got the F the Algorithm channel. Go there. We've got the playlist already live. Go like, go subscribe, go watch the videos in full, learn something, find someone's new content to fall in love with. Like, it's, I don't know, there are so many good channels that you could discover from this stream or from our previous streams. We have decided that we're going to do F the Algorithm on a standing date, so it's always going to be the last Wednesday of every month now, and we're going to try and make that work because we are busy, and so if we don't have a standing date, it tends to get pushed further out. So we've got the last Wednesday in July.
In July. Very excited to announce that our next host will be.
We do have someone though.
I was going to also make an indistinct noise.
Now I've just got
Lipstick
your
in
makeup
your-
all over my face. I'm sorry. Makeup all over my head. I'm so sorry.
Later.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna do the last Wednesday of every month.
We're gonna do the last Wednesday of every month.
If you want to keep up.
So if you do want to keep up though, we are at some point maybe we'll start streaming from our channel. We've only done that once, and because we are such a small channel ourselves, our own individual channels are whatever they are, but then the FD Algorithm dedicated channel only has a few thousand people subscribed. So as of now, we kind of rotate around who is going to be streaming. If you want to keep an eye on this project, do go over and like our individual channel, but you can also follow us on Twitter. We've got an FD Algorithm page where we post the links to our next stream and post the playlist to the videos and all of that housekeeping out of the way. Does anyone have last words?
Any news?
Anything I forgot?
I just wanted to say thank you to Jose again, because it's so nice to. We could do it on like any one of our channels, but those people will already be watching the Algorithm, so it's really nice to get these smaller creators like a wider audience than we would be able to give them on our own. So I always really appreciate that.
Well, you're very welcome. It's nice to be able to highlight some smaller channels, and it's also nice to speak with all of you. I know I've watched. I'm pretty sure I've watched all your videos, not all of your videos, but you know. Several of them, and I've enjoyed all your work, so it's been very nice highlighting you and also these like smaller channels. I was like, I wonder what they're gonna be like, and they're just like, these are all bangers, so I'm happy to highlight them, and I do hope everyone checks them out, and also the other people on this stream who are all wonderful too.
Well, I think then that might be all for us. I'll ask everybody, all of the hosts here, you should stick around and we can have a debrief afterwards. But thanks everybody for joining us for our little monthly promoting other creators FD Algorithm stream. Appreciate having you here.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, your hosts have been guest host Jose. Thank you so much for letting us use your channel. Absolute legend. We also have Mika from Ponderful, Hoots from the channel Hoots, Kaylin Conrad from the channel Kaylin Conrad, and I am Sarah, and this is Neil, and our channel is The Leftist Cooks, and we'll see you all later. So
bye.
Bye.
Bye.